Okay.
All right, so we will start the meeting at 7:02 p.m. on on Thursday, the 14th of 2021 for the SAU 21 budget meeting slash public hearing. So I'm gonna start off with the updated for January the 14th, 2021 checklist to ensure the meetings are compliant with the right to know law during the state of emergency. Rhonda, did you want to do a roll call for attendance first, or do you want me to read this?
You need to read that because the roll call comes in at the end of that, because that kind of
Okay.
explains a little bit.
All right, so this is the same spiel that I've been saying at the beginning of every one of our meetings, so I'm just going to go over it one more time. As chair of the Winnacunnet Budget Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by Governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in the accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the Winnacunnet Budget Committee have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 646-876-9923 and webinar ID 814-0730-9628. Or by clicking onto the following website address listed on the website of https://o2web.zoom.us/j/814-0730-9628. I just lost everything here. Hold on for 1 second. All right. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or by telephone. Instructions have also been provided by the website of SAU 21 office at www.sau21.org. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are any problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please call 603-926-8992, extension 103, or email at revans@sau21.org. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event that the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. We will all now take a roll call. And Rhonda, did you want to go through each person?
Yes, Jonathan
Okay.
Panett.
I am here and I do not have anybody in the room with me.
Okay. Patricia O'Keefe.
I am here and I am alone.
Jennifer Blankenship. Jen, you're on mute.
So used to being muted. Yes, I'm here and I am alone.
Les Shepard. David Gant.
Dave Gant, I'm here. There are some family members ambling about,
Okay.
and I'm sorry I was late. There was connectivity challenges.
Okay. And Tony Delano.
I'm here with family in and out.
All right, I have the roll call taken.
Great. All right, so I'm going to roll right into the meeting. So the first order of business is regarding the meeting minutes for the 9th. We did just receive an email, I believe, a couple of hours ago. So I just need, does anybody have any questions or modifications to the meeting minutes? Do we have a motion to actually accept the meeting minutes?
So moved.
All right. And we need a second.
Second.
Okay, great. So all in favor of accepting the meeting minutes for, I believe, the 9th? Is that correct, Rhonda?
Yeah, do you want to do a roll call on that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Jonathan Panett,
Yes.
Patricia O'Keefe,
Yes.
Jennifer Blankenship,
Yes.
Les Shepherd. I'm sorry, Les isn't here. David Gant
Yes.
and Tony Delano.
Yes.
I have that vote recorded.
Great. Thank you very much. So we have gone over the meeting minutes and the next order of business, I believe we're just I'm gonna hand it over to Matt. Did you want to do any type of PowerPoint? Because I don't see any attendees right now, so I'm not sure if we should wait a little bit or.
Well, I can run through the PowerPoint. This is being recorded and will be published. So I think it's a good idea to go through the budget. That way we have record of it. And then if anyone is interested, I'm sure there'll be a big crowd. They can find it on our website. We also, we tweet it out and we put it on our YouTube channel, all social media. So.
Okay, great. So I'll hand the floor over to you, Matt, and you can do the PowerPoint presentation. And then I guess we'll just open it up to questions to the public if we have any. If we don't, then.
Yep. So if anyone shows up, then we'd open up for public comment. Did we actually, I'm sorry, did we open the public hearing?
I did not. So I'm going to open it up to the public hearing as well.
Yep. Right.
Do we need a second on that? Do we need to vote on that, Matt?
No, you just have to, I believe you just have to open it. That's
Okay.
correct, right, Rhonda? Just opening it. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So
All right,
I open it up to the public meeting, so we should be fine. So go right ahead, Matt.
Thank you. And I also want to thank the school board, both the school board and the budget committee for their hard work in developing and putting together this budget. This is a unique year, obviously with while we're in the midst of a pandemic. We all know that our towns are suffering, where we anticipate tax revenue declines in our towns, and we know we have families that are struggling financially because of the economic crisis. So I think it was really a team effort, by the school board, the budget committee, and the administration to bring forth a budget that still fulfills its mission of providing for an optimal learning experience for our students, but also is financially responsible and really is keeping expenditures at a minimum, as we navigate this economic crisis. And everyone can see this PowerPoint?
Yes.
Oh, all right, thank you. So when developing a budget, as always, it's a prioritization exercise. So we take a look at what our mission and values and vision are for Winnacunnet High School, and we allocate those resources to best maximize those resources that are available. So you'll see that throughout the budget. We really took care this year to focus on the impact on students and student learning, and we took a look at where we could cut in areas that, although important, may not have as much of a direct impact on students, because we understood that we needed to make cuts due to the economic situation. So you'll see throughout this budget, I hope it tells a story that that we are promoting that creativity, that innovation, the critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making that we're trying to instill in our students. So again, we align to our mission, and then we also have a number of plans that have been approved by the school board, and that includes our facilities plan, our technology plan, we have our our HVAC replacement cycle, but most importantly, our competency-based education learning plan, because that's really goes to the core of what we're here for and what we're trying to achieve at Winnacunnet. And that's been a multi-year process that Winnacunnet's really taken the lead in implementing CBE, and our K-8 schools are, they're following along, and they're, further down in the implementation cycle, but it's still a focus at Winnacunnet. So when we develop a budget, enrollment is always a key data point. So I will note that the SAU as a whole will be conducting refreshed enrollment projections in the fall of 2021. Knock on wood, hopefully post-pandemic. We were intending to do so this past fall. However, with data integrity issues based on the pandemic, it really didn't make sense to do so. But we do have a good grasp, at least short term, where our enrollment is. And this year, we even in the midst of this crisis, we increased our enrollment. So we're currently at 1,134 students, which is an increase from last year at 1,085. And this is a mixture of the students that have started back in school in person this past week, and the students that decided to stay entirely remote. It's the aggregate. And next year, based on the numbers that we know here at Winnacunnet, and then from our sending communities at the sending schools, we're pretty confident that we will end up right around 1,145 based on those numbers. So overall, the operating budget for Winnacunnet is proposed at $28,770,668 for fiscal year 2021-2022. This reflects a very modest increase of 0.66%, or $187,939 from the prior year. I'll also note a very important figure is the default budget, and this proposed operating budget is in excess of $200,000 less than the default budget. So this proposed operating budget is $208,667 less than the default budget. And I'll just take a moment now to explain the default budget is. So when we have the ballot for the operating budget, the voters will vote on our proposed operating budget of $28,770,000. If that fails, it goes to the default budget. And the default budget is defined as the prior year's budget. So the 2020-2021 budget, plus or minus any contractual or legally mandated costs, and then adjusted down for any eliminated positions, any one-time expenditures, and then there's a couple other minor tweaks. I think this is really a testament to how serious the budget committee and the school board took this budgeting exercise, that they are proposing a budget that is so far under the default budget. So with any budget, there are always budget drivers. So these are the items that really have a big impact on the budget, either upward or downward. And we believe that this proposed budget really does reflect a focus on maintaining our current program and service levels. really at a high level, but also we took great care to re-examine what our budget priorities are, what our staffing looks like, how are we trying to accomplish our various programming, and where possible, we cut expenditures, and we cut expenditures across all departments. So this budget does not include any new, any significant initiatives or investments. And this again, I'm on repeat, but we do understand that our communities are facing some economic challenges. So that we kept that in mind through this entire process. So unfortunately, this year, the state of New Hampshire retirement system, they made a significant increase to the employer contribution rate for all of our employees who are in the retirement system. So there's been a decades-long making unfunded pension obligation at the state level. It's something that's kind of been kicked down the road. However, this year they're trying to. It appears that the state is trying to bridge that gap. So they increased the employer's contribution by 3.22% in the for teachers and 2.89% for all other staff. So this has a dramatic effect on budget. And this does not only affect our school budget, it affects every school budget in the state, every police, fire, and municipal employee budget. And it's a significant cost. So I mean that means, so for every dollar that we spend in salaries, we were paying roughly 17% for a teacher. Now we're paying in excess of 21% for every dollar going towards retirement. So that's $500,000 increase for retirement this year. So we have a increase of $503,178 to pay into the retirement system. Other drivers include our salaries, which is our single largest expense. I mean, salaries represent close to 85% of our budget. So contractual cost of living adjustments, step increases, the addition of 2 special education case managers based on services for our students on IEPs. Those increases represented $756,875 increase. Additionally, we have some increased transportation costs in the amount of $96,234, and this includes special education as well as our regular contract with First Student for daily transportation. And finally, the last large increase involves our vocational programs. So we tuition our students to the Seacoast School of Technology for students who are interested in vocational education. And this had an increase of $82,110, which represents an increase in student enrollment as well as a tuition increase, which is determined at the SST board level. So on the one hand, this is positive because it means that we have more students that are taking advantage of SST, which is really a great program. There's some really nice opportunities there, but obviously that also represents an added cost for us. So on the other hand, we have budget drivers that increase the budget, but then we have budget drivers that reduce our budget. So those budget drivers that increase the budget represent $1.41 million, and that's all contractual. So obviously, since we're only increasing by 0.66% overall, we have some significant decreases as well. And that includes our special education tuition account, which is a reduction of $587,411. And that really represents the elimination of some out-of-district placements for students who require some special services. That's a line item. So that's a line item that can be somewhat volatile based on, how many students we're tuitioning out. Additionally, our health insurance is decreased by $221,293. So we are fortunate in that we have a real modest 3.4% GMR. So GMR is guaranteed maximum rate for health insurance premiums. So health insurance historically has been a huge driver for school and town budgets over the last decade and a half. Health insurance and special education are the two major drivers across the board over the last 10 to 20 years. It's a fact. It's driven up costs. However, in this case, we're only seeing a 3.4% increase in health insurance. Additionally, the budget committee a few years ago had the foresight to recommend setting up a healthcare expendable trust. And that healthcare expendable trust has the advantage of not only leveling out potential overages in health insurance costs due to unexpected marriages or births or just changes in employees, but it also allows us to under budget our health insurance line item. So we receive the GMR in October, but then that's the guaranteed maximum. We don't get the actual rate until March. So we typically, in a normal world, you would budget for that maximum because oftentimes it comes in at the maximum. However, in many instances, it comes down. So what this allows us to do is under budget for that differential, or even more than that differential, and we can hedge a little bit and expect that rate will, or bet that rate will come down. And if not, we can tap into our expendable trust if we don't have that fund. We also might recognize savings somewhere else in the budget that can fund it. So it's just a good way to under budget and so that we're not assessing our taxpayers more than we have to. Our information technology account is being reduced by $69,354, and this reflects savings in a number of areas, including information access fees, technology equipment, workshop seminars, repairs and maintenance, equipment leasing, contracted services, and supplies accounts. Similarly, our buildings department is reducing their budget by $65,664. And that includes reductions across accounts in renovations, overtime salaries, auditorium improvements, equipment, heating fuels, and electricity accounts. So embedded in the proposed operating budget is we have 3 employee classifications, and those employees all receive a cost of living adjustment. So 2 of those employee classifications are unions. So they're dictated by collective bargaining agreements that are separate warrant articles that are put out to the voters to vote on. And then it gets rolled, whatever the number of years that collective bargaining agreement is in effect, it rolls into the operating budget for the preceding years. So our C collective bargaining agreement, which is our teachers, calls for 2.75% cost of living adjustment. And our CESPA, which is Seacoast Educational Personnel Association, which is our paraprofessionals, calls for a 1.00% cost of living adjustment. The non-union employees, we benchmark against inflation. So what we do is we take a look at the Consumer Price Index, CPI, for our geographic region. Then we benchmark it from July to July, so the prior year to the prior 12-month period, because inflation is backwards looking. So in this case, we looked at inflation, or CPI, from July of 2019 to July of 2020, which saw an inflation rate of 0.8%. So our non-union employees, and that includes our administrators, our administrative assistants, our technology staff, our food service staff, our facilities team, they will all receive a 0.8% cost of living adjustment. So now I just want to take a moment to go into each individual department and just highlight the budget, the variance, and then what caused any significant increase or decrease in those individual department budgets. So the first of which is regular education, which is budgeted at $7,311,340. So this is an increase of $191,427 or 2.69%. And the primary driver for this increase is due to that aforementioned collective bargaining agreement, which includes the salary cost of living adjustment, step increases, and those costs were slightly offset by reductions in supplies and equipment accounts. Our special education budget is $3,557,664, which is actually a decrease of $395,648, or a reduction of 10.01%. So this reflects that elimination of the out-of-district placement tuitions that I had mentioned earlier, one of those big budget drivers. And it was offset by the hiring of 2 special education case managers. And this is all based on our current student enrollments, our student needs, and the services that our students all require, which is dictated by their individualized education plans, their IEPs, which are mandated by state and federal law. Our vocational programs are budgeted at $334,110, which is an increase of $82,110 or 32.58%. And this, again, this was one of those drivers. That's an increase that's based on student enrollment, as well as the annual tuition increase at SST. Our student activities budget is $882,168, which shows a decrease of $1,501 or 0.17%. And that decrease reflects reductions in a number of accounts. Again, you'll see reductions in many accounts throughout this entire budget. Wherever we could, we took a hard look, and it wasn't easy. We had to make some tough decisions, but we understood that we owed the community a very lean budget. So that included reductions in supplies, uniforms, dues and fees, equipment, and speakers. And this is, again, based on past expenditure history and the needs of respective activities. Our summer school budget is $67,500, which is a decrease of $1,900 or 2.74% decrease. And that's a reduction in supplies. Our evening school budget is $129,589, a slight increase of $10,245 or 8.58%. And this increase is really a misnomer. This is really level funded. The reason that we had to add funding to this account is because there was previously grant funding from the federal government that provided some supplemental funding for our evening school program. However, they consolidated some of those grant funds, and that's been reduced by $10,000. So otherwise, it's the exact same cost to run this program. Our guidance budget is $861,718, which is a reduction of $7,504 or 0.86%. And this reflects a transition of our JAG program as a contracted service to an in-house program. And that will fall under our Extended Learning Opportunities program, our ELO program. Additionally, we did have some reductions, including testing and workshops, and we did have some increases based on salary cost of living adjustment, salary step increases, and right sizing some contract days for professional staff. Our health services budget is $144,404, which is an increase of $3,133 or 2.22%. And again, this just represents the salary cost of living adjustment and step increases. Our speech services and other support services accounts are just left open for potential future need. Our improvement of instruction budget is $414,018, which is an increase of $1,612 or 0.39%. Again, that increase reflects the cost of living adjustment, step increases, and it's offset by reductions in our professional development accounts, salary stipends, workshops, and seminars. Our educational media budget is $179,538, which is an increase of $4,388 or 2.51%. Again, the salary cost of living adjustments and step increases resulted in that increase, which were offset by some reductions in our books, print media accounts. Our information technology budget is $648,285, which is a reduction of $69,354 or 9.66% reduction. I had mentioned this earlier in the presentation as a budget driver downward. And as always, our IT account aligns with our school board approved technology plan. And the decrease is primarily due to savings in our information access fees. We did negotiate a better rate with a new internet network services provider, as well as reductions in technology equipment, workshop seminars, repairs and maintenance, equipment leasing, and supplies accounts. We also eliminated the shared position with the SAU. That was a contracted service. And there were some slight increases in software licensing and salaries, which reflect the cost of living adjustment. Our support services is budgeted at $60,000, which is a decrease of $3,500 or 5.51%. And this reflects a reduction in other salaries based on expenditure history. Similarly, our Board of Education budget has decreased by $1,900 or 2.75%, which is at $67,151. And that reflects a reduction in annual meeting costs. And again, based on when we took an analysis of expenditure history. Our SAU services budget is $885,590 or an increase of $18,506 or 2.13%. So the SAU services account reflects the central services that's provided by the Office of the Superintendent. So that's a superintendent, assistant superintendent, executive director of student services, all of our fiscal services as far as the business office, accounts payable, payroll, our human resources department. We have some technology there, and this increase, the SAU budget was actually level funded. However, the formula for allocation is based on student enrollment and property valuation. So Winnacunnet saw an increase in students, where some of our other districts actually saw a decrease in students. So that's why there's a slight increase on this department or this line item. And I will also take note that this budget does reflect our new SAU model that really takes care to create a more collaborative and cohesive SAU across all of our districts to help our districts work together to create efficiencies, to create economies of scale, to work more collaboratively with our curriculum work, our leadership team, to create consistency with curriculum, and really develop, particularly try to bring students up at our K-8 schools into Winnacunnet at with some standardized skills, and hopefully provide all of our students an exceptional learning opportunity. We've seen a number of real benefits to this new model. We've shared an ESOL teacher, which has resulted in that one position resulted in $30,000 savings and better service for each of our districts. We've consolidated special education transportation routes. we've removed our third-party Medicaid biller, and now we're doing direct billing. So that's saving us 7% on all our Medicaid reimbursement. Our nursing team is working more collaboratively as a team and utilizing this similar software to better serve our students, which is particularly important this year in the midst of the pandemic. Without our nurses, we would not be able to open schools. So there's some great benefit to creating a cohesive and collaborative SAU while still maintaining autonomy and maintaining that culture in each of our individual school districts. So our school administration budget is $910,651, which is an increase of $34,551 or 3.94%. And this reflects our administrative salary cost of living adjustments, step increases, our rental lease equipment for our copier and printer leases. I'll note that the SAU negotiated an SAU-wide copier agreement, which is saving us over 30% across the SAU. We see an increase in this one particular department because it was all consolidated into this line item. But overall, at Winnacunnet, we're seeing a significant savings. It was just consolidated into one line item, so it's a little bit of a misnomer. We also had reductions in postage, our telephone account, and travel reimbursement accounts. Our buildings budget is $1,733,243, which is a decrease of $65,664 or 3.65%. Again, this aligns with our school board approved facilities plan. And this is again, one of our budget drivers downward. We had some significant decreases in accounts such as renovations. We looked at pushing back projects due to cost considerations. We reduced overtime salaries, auditorium improvements. We also have an auditorium improvement plan, equipment, heating fuels, electricity. So our heating fuels and electricity, again, as part of that SAU alignment, we negotiated out SAU-wide electricity and natural gas and oil contracts, which reflected in some significant savings across the board. And then those reductions were offset by some increases due to cost of living adjustments, step increases, consulting services for our upcoming roofing and HVAC projects, as well as repair and maintenance. Our grounds budget is $255,601, which is a decrease of $31,999 or 11.13%. And this reflects a reduction in our grounds repair and equipment accounts. Our vehicles budget is $31,734, which is an increase of $6,800 or 27.27%. And this reflects the purchase of a tractor to replace one that has reached end of life. It's with our various vehicles, that's something that we try to maintain and extend the life as long as possible. But in this case, we were spending a couple $1,000s a year trying to maintain it. So at some point, it does make more sense economically to purchase a new one. Our security services budget is $2 with no increase or to keep the account open. Our transportation budget is $1,198,710, which is an increase of $96,234 or 8.73%. This is primarily a reflection of our special education transportation increase, but it's also based on our annual. There's an annual increase built into our first student contract for our regular education, athletic, field trip, and other transportation services such as McKinney-Vento. And I will note that this is the third year of a 5-year contract. Our debt service is budgeted at $968,688, which is a decrease of $244 or 0.01%. And this account provides for the principal and interest payments on the bond issue for our building project. We'll happily note that the last payment is scheduled for August of 2024. So that is coming up in the next couple budget cycles, couple years. I'll also note that due to refinancing, so we've had some favorable interest rates in recent years. So there has been some refinancing that's occurred. And we have received a total of over $500,000, so $522,657 in refunds, which reflects the 20-year term. Our employee benefits is budgeted at $6,542,833, which is an increase of $317,108 or 5.09%. Again, this reflects the huge increase from the New Hampshire retirement system of over $500,000, which is offset by the savings that we're recognizing in health insurance via the modest GMR and our artificial under budgeting of the health insurance line item to help defray costs. Our interfund transfer budget is $1. So the interfund transfer reflects the transfer of funds from the school nutrition fund to the general fund. So the general fund is the fund that is essentially the budget that funds operations of the school. That's what we just went through. And employee benefits was the last item. Well, interfund transfer technically is the last item. The school nutrition fund is its own fund that and which is self-sustaining via their revenue. So the concept is that a school nutrition budget is funded via state and federal reimbursement for the National School Lunch Program, as well as revenue that they receive via students and staff paying for lunch or for catering. They do get paid for different catering activities. So if that school nutrition fund or budget in fact does not break even or does not make a profit, then the general fund is legally mandated to fund that deficit. So in this case, the budget is $1 because we do not anticipate the need to cover the school nutrition deficit. We've worked very hard in our school nutrition program to, because years, actually when I first started, we were running a significant deficit. So we formed a school nutrition committee. We looked at our expenditures. We completely reshaped how we operated, increased our marketing activities to increase revenue, and now we are running a positive balance. I will note that this past year, due to the pandemic and not being in school for a third of the year, we did run a deficit because we had incurred a year's worth of costs essentially, and only received 2/3 of that revenue. And this year's is also, in this current 2020-21 school budget is a unique year as well, because we haven't had students in full time. Our participation rates are significantly lower. We have adjusted and pulled some levers and reduced some of our expenditures, but I anticipate that this year we will also have a deficit. So getting back to 2021-2022, our food service budget is $586,128, which is an increase of $1,039 or 0.18%. And this is due to salary, cost of living adjustment, step increases, which are all offset by a reduction in supplies and equipment. So that brings us to the conclusion of the operating budget. Again, I will mention the default budget. So if the operating budget fails at vote, it goes to the default budget, which is $28,979,335, which is, again, the default is higher than the operating budget by $208,667. So the default is over $200,000 more than the proposed operating budget. And again, the default is the prior year's budget. So in this case, 2020, 2021, increased or decreased by contractual or legally mandated items, and then reduced by any one-time expenditures or any eliminations of positions. So as part of our effort to minimize costs, we are bringing forth only one warrant article in addition to the operating budget. So we do have an HVAC replacement cycle, which is really important to maintain to minimize the year-to-year fluctuations and variances with HVAC replacements. So we replace a unit every year to spread out those costs. And it's technically a 20-year cycle that just keeps rotating. You know, when you have a 350,000 square foot facility, it's a good amount of HVAC. So whoever had the foresight years before me to put together the plan and put this into effect, that was really an important step to maintain level funding. So we are maintaining this HVAC replacement. We also had a roof replacement on the capital improvement plan, which we have deferred 1 year due to the economic considerations. Additionally, we are, and I'm sorry, that HVAC replacement is $325,000, and it's for the technology education building. In typical years, we look to potentially fund our expendable trusts. Our expendable trusts are for special education, building maintenance, that healthcare expendable trust that I referenced that allowed us to under budget our health insurance account, as well as technology. And those accounts are really there to help mitigate any unexpected costs, anything that comes up in the course of the year. It's the contingency in the case of the unknown. However, this year we're proposing to not include any expendable trust funding. We are reaching the targets, or reached the targets for special education and building maintenance. Although building maintenance will be falling under that target, I will note. We do plan to utilize that fund for the installation of security bollards based on our Homeland Security audit. And also the garage shed roof needs to be replaced. So that'll bring the balance down to just under $200,000. But we do have a current balance in special education of $406,545. Our building maintenance is currently at $457,030, but that will come down to $175,000. I'll also note that last year's roof project will be withdrawn. It just hasn't been cleared yet. So that's also part of the reduction of the building maintenance expendable trust. That was part of last year's budget. And then our healthcare expendable trust is $236,690, and our technology account or fund is $5,394. So that brings us to the conclusion of the operating budget. I want to reiterate the thanks to our school board and budget committee for their hard work developing this budget. And as always, we'd be nothing without our teachers, our parents, our students, staff, and community, and everyone who supports Winnacunnet. One piece of housekeeping, we do have a deliberative session, as you all know, scheduled in February. So for Winnacunnet, the deliberative session is scheduled for 7 p.m. on Thursday, February 4th, 2021. That will be an in-person deliberative session. We did consult with our legal counsel, and it really is not feasible. There is another option to do kind of a remote delivery session, but it's not a feasible option. It would require drive-up voting, it would require 2 remote sessions, notifying every individual. I won't go into details, but it's not an option. Further, our legal counsel did advise that we keep the delivery session very brief. So we will be reading the warrant articles, making a quick summary, voting, opening up for any community members who do decide to show up to make comment or to potentially make a motion, and we will try to get through the budget very quickly. So my kids are going to sleep right now, so it's bedtime. So sorry, I lost my train of thought. So the deliberative session, the legal counsel did advise that we keep it very short. We also cannot require community members to wear masks. So we will have a separate section for any community members who do not want to wear a mask. They will have the option they will have a microphone to make any motion or make any public comment. They'll have the exact same access as anyone that's wearing masks. We will be setting up the auditorium with the proper 6 foot social distancing. And as you know, there are our checklist supervisors who will check in any residents that show up, and they will be protected with plexiglass at their tables. So we will do everything in our power to minimize the threat to public health, but that will be in person. I'll also note that there is a school board meeting earlier in the evening from 5:30 to 6:30. That will be remote via Zoom. So we'll be coming from a remote meeting into that in-person meeting just to minimize any risks. So at this point, Jonathan, I'm sorry if I
No, that's
rambled
great.
a little bit, but
I did have two really, well, one, I want to say thank you very much, Matt, and the board for being so detailed and going through each individual line item regarding the budget. Matt, you did a great job with the presentation. I did have 2 really quick questions. One was regarding the default budget. So when that budget that we just approved from the committee shows up on the ballot, will the default budget be present so the voters know that if they vote against the budget, that it automatically goes to the default budget, which is a couple $100,000 more than what the presented budget is?
Yes, that's correct. So the voters will vote on the proposed budget, and that number, that 28+ million dollars, will be there, but there will also be the default budget number there. So they will be able to see that differential.
Okay. The only other question I had, and this goes regarding the deliberative session. So even though there's a state mandated mask, we can't require, because I'm not sure, I can't remember how many we had at the deliberative session last year. But if it ends up being quite a few people, we can't request that they're wearing masks, even though there's Sununu had mandated that there is mask requirements.
Yeah, that was my exact question to our legal counsel.
Okay.
No. So short answer, no, we can't require, even though there is a state mandate, because there are two things. We need to accommodate our residents, so they could potentially have medical or some sort of physical reason to not wear a mask. And secondly, we can't inure them from their ability to vote. So
Yep.
we're essentially, so we can't keep them from showing up. And
No, I understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm running into the
Well,
same.
yeah, it's a bit frustrating, And because the school, Winnacunnet has a procedure, has a rules in place that everyone needs to wear a mask.
Right.
However, there's an exception in this case. We will offer masks to anyone. I also don't, knock on wood, I don't think we will have a large.
Right.
Hey, Matt, if you would, I'd challenge that. I think we have a rule that requires people to wear proper attire, clothing. And I think that this would fall under that same category. I think it's ridiculous that we can't require it. I know legal counsel has weighed in, but I'd ask you to just really challenge that because that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I'm running into the same thing for the,
But it's the same reason why they can carry a gun into the deliberative session, which I think you all know, they can carry a gun into the deliberative session. That, we also have a rule against guns in schools, but that's allowed. So it's, and I've seen people carry guns to our deliberative session. So it's live free or die.
all right, well, I figured I'd ask the question. I mean, I'm running into the same thing for the town. So our public hearing is on the upcoming Tuesday, and I don't know if the facility that I picked is going to be large enough. And then we also have the deliberative session as well, so it's good to know. Could you
So I
let me
will
know?
note, Jonathan, though, that an important component of this, though, is the moderator. If the moderator deems that it's an unsafe environment, so if there are too many people, the moderator will shut down the deliberative session and it'll be moved to an alternate date or with new accommodations. So that there is some safeguard if it does show that it's going to be, if it does present itself as being unsafe to public health.
Well,
And
that is very good to know.
That's regardless of masks, right, Matt? That's just occupancy, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be for any number of reasons that the moderator has that authority. So.
Right, well, it was brought up for the 19th for my meeting at the facility. I don't know if it's going to be big enough. So we're opening up another facility to house people, and they've been going back and forth. And unfortunately, the 19th is the deadline for me. So I can't reschedule, but it's very good to know. So when David said to challenge that, do you mind just sending something to me, or is it pretty much set in stone where we really have no leeway regarding, someone?
Well, I mean, our legal counsel made their
Final determination.
legal opinion.
Right,
And
okay.
he's actually, so he's in with a network of school lawyers, and they, just prior to me speaking to him, he had met with them, and there was consensus that that was in fact the law.
Okay.
I will absolutely push back on him and ask and ask the question again. I have no problem with that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would just approach that the board, the budget committee basically had a concern, and we just want to verify that, because anyways, I'll stop there.
I'm personally worried because I know Dr. Eric Halian said that she doesn't plan on wearing a mask. So
Brutal.
I'm a little worried because she's sitting right next to me. So
I am pro-mask. In fact, right now, you're making me just want to put a mask on. Sorry, I had to step out and miss this part of the conversation, just dealing with a situation with the school.
Okay.
But I'm pro-mask. I don't even know, but I'm pro-mask.
All right.
Don't listen to Matt.
All right. So just to reiterate, we have the deliberative session, like you said, Matt, on the February the 4th at 7 p.m. If we have a snow date or something happens for some reason, then we'll probably give everyone proper notification, and we'll have to reschedule the deliberative session. But that will be the last hurrah, and potentially if there is a motion to change any of those numbers, we may, as a board, have to revote on the budget again if there's a motion with enough people to move something to either to deduct or add something to the budget, correct?
potentially, yes. If so, so if there is a change, we'd ask you to vote. So.
Right. Anything else from any of the committee members or anybody, actually, should we open it up to the public at all? I don't have the, any attendees right now, so I'm not showing anybody on here. So I'm assuming that we don't have to really.
There are no attendees, so
Okay.
we're good.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add or make a comment?
The only thing I would say is just I appreciate everybody's hard work on this, and I appreciate the expedience that Zoom has allowed us to move this through really quickly. And I appreciate all of the diligence that Matt, Bill, and everyone on the board has actually done for us to make this such an easy process.
I'll second that. So,
Jen spoke for me as well.
yes. Well, it was a very smooth process this year, and I'm hoping that within the next budget meeting that we have, we'll be able to actually hopefully be in a different situation. But I wish everyone, a good week, and I look forward to seeing everyone on the 4th. So unless we have anything else for the meeting, I would hopefully have someone have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we'll take a
All
roll
right.
call vote. So
Jonathan
Wanda?
Bennett,
Yes.
Patricia O'Keefe,
Yes.
Jennifer Blankenship,
Yes.
David Gant,
Yes.
and Tony Delano.
Yes.
All right, meeting adjourned at 8:03.
Great, thank you very much, everyone.
All
Have
right,
a good
thanks.
night.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Stay safe.
You too.
Thanks.